Okay, so not to brag, but these were the two teams I predicted to make it to the Super Bowl. So, credit to me. But in all seriousness, I mean, predictions are a total crapshoot, and I was largely lucky for these two teams to get here. But that being said, one of the huge reasons that these two teams are here is from the quarterback position. So that is what I will be breaking down. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes versus Jimmy Garoppolo. And when you think Patrick Mahomes versus Jimmy Garoppolo, the obvious edge goes to Mahomes. I mean, he's won an MVP. Garoppolo is a solid player, but he hasn't lit the world on fire too many times this season. He has had a couple notable times when he's done that, obviously, but for the most part, I think this is actually a very interesting quarterback battle, and I do think that both of these two guys are bringing very different things to the table, and I think that's one of the things that makes it really interesting. Jimmy Garoppolo kind of more of the game manager type, but still will be a gunslinger at times, and I could just talk about it, or instead I'll just get into showing you. So let's get things started with the 49ers just to kick things off. One of the things that the San Francisco 49ers do very well is a play like this, where first things first, what you will notice is that there is a man in motion, and since a Minnesota Viking is following him, this lets Garoppolo know that it is going to be man coverage. The exact coverage is going to be a blitz, basically, where this is what you're going to see. It's going to be kind of similar to like a cover one blitz, but in a goal line situation, it's going to be a linebacker who's covering the middle of the field, as opposed to a safety, which is what you would probably do if you were further away from the end zone. But since there's not really much space, you can just have a linebacker. You don't have to worry about them having to run too much. And for San Francisco, they're going to have a receiver run that route right there, which, if there was no linebacker in the area, it would be a very good route. But since there is a Minnesota Viking who's going to be in the area, this now means that San Francisco has to have a plan for them, and they are going to have a plan for this. They're going to run play action. And after the ball is snapped, look at how hard that linebacker is going to bite on this play action, which, of course you bite on play action. They run the ball so much and they're so effective at running the ball, you are going to bite on play action from time to time if you are going up against San Francisco. But if you notice, well, yes, his receiver is open. I mean, this is not going to be an easy throw to be made whatsoever. I mean, he's beating his own one-on-one matchup, but there still is a linebacker in the area who can leap up and make the play. There's also another defensive back who happened to run over an area, so he's definitely going to have a pretty good throw to make sure this is a touchdown. And this isn't going to be a pretty good throw. It's going to be an absolutely perfect throw. Garoppolo makes it, and they're able to get a touchdown. And that's what he can do. San Francisco puts him in a position to succeed, but he absolutely succeeds. He does a great job of making those types of throws. But just to be clear, that's not to say that all he can do is just do a good job of being a system quarterback. He is definitely not a system quarterback. He runs the system very well, but he can do so much more than that. He absolutely is capable of making great plays all on his own. This play is an example of that. It's going to be a cover two man right here, and that's the route that he's going to want to hit, but it's actually going to take a little bit longer to develop than he was hoping it would right when the ball is snapped. First things first, what you will notice is that there's pressure, but also while the receiver he wants to hit is winning his own one-on-one matchup pretty well, if you notice, there happens to be a couple of other Minnesota Vikings in the area, and this kind of goes to, everyone has to run their routes at a perfect time. If they don't, this can kind of create a log jam, which means that it takes a little bit longer for the guy you want to get open. But since there was a little bit of contact, this slowed one receiver down. There's also a safety deep who's going to try to run and make this play. But look at what Garoppolo is able to do here. While under pressure, he makes an absolutely perfect throw, and it results in a long completion. I mean, that's what Garoppolo is capable of. He's far from just a system quarterback. There's a reason why, even though Nick Mullins is kind of a replacement level quarterback, not a disaster by any means, it's why when you put Garoppolo in there, the team just plays so much better because he can make those types of plays. That being said, Jimmy G absolutely does have one weakness actually, and it's a play like this where it's going to be a cover three zone, and that's the route he wants to hit, which makes sense. Good route against this type of coverage. As you just see on paper, it should get into a gap in coverage, so Garoppolo is going to look in that direction, which does make sense. And if you look, where the receiver is in relation to the cornerback is actually pretty good. He's definitely going to cut in, and if you look at the corner, he's facing the sideline, which is the complete opposite way he wants to be facing right here, so that's a good situation for San Francisco. But the bad thing is that the person that he's going to have to try here, who's a little bit more shallow, is going to be Eric Kendricks, who is a really good player. And Garoppolo is still going to say, you know what, I think I can fit it through this window, but Kendricks closes too quickly. He's able to get the interception, and that's just not a good thing from the 49ers. It really isn't. I mean, Garoppolo will make those types of throws, and he shouldn't. He should be smarter than that, but he will make those types of throws from time to time. I mean, that being said, while I do say he should be smarter than that, at the same time, I mean, oftentimes those result in touchdowns, as we saw in the first play I showed you. So you do take the good with the bad. It's a little bit of a gunslinger type tendency, not totally, but definitely a little bit. And that kind of is the negative, you know. If he makes a couple of those negative splash plays in the Super Bowl, it could result in a loss. It really could. That could be the difference. But of course, the flip side is if you don't get those, then he's going to have a tremendous positive impact for the 49ers. So, you take the good with the bad. But okay, let's move over to the Kansas City Chiefs. And listen, let's be honest here. When we're talking about who's the best quarterback playing in the Super Bowl, I mean, Patrick Mahomes is arguably the best quarterback playing, period. So he obviously has a huge leg up. And one of the things I think he does so well, even at a young age, well, yes, he will make the occasional mistake. I feel like his football IQ is off the charts for his age. I mean, that's one thing that I feel like doesn't get talked about enough because he is such a freak athlete is, oh yeah, this guy is pretty smart, especially for a young player. Like on this play, it's going to be a cover 2 zone, and he has a concept, perfect to beat cover 2 zone. 3 receivers are running deep. Ideally for Oakland, they only have 2 players who are going to stay deep. Now, maybe somebody could realize what's going on and go deep to keep up with a receiver, but as of right now, this is a good situation for Kansas City. But what I love about this from Patrick Mahomes is that if you look right after the ball is snapped, so if you look at the safety who's in charge of covering the bottom half of the screen, notice how far he is playing to the top half of the screen. He's literally at the hash marks right now, so he's almost at midfield. He sees Kelsey is trying to run a route that's going to get in the middle of the field, so he's going to try to take that away, but this is kind of a blown coverage, honestly. He should just trust his linebacker to make the play, and he should stay further deep, so this isn't what you would be expecting a defense to do. However, this is what Oakland is doing. So because of that, this means that Kansas City is going to have a receiver get wide open. That receiver, he's going to eventually get open. But the question is going to be, will Mahomes realize it in time? And the answer is, well, yeah. In fact, he's already realized it. You look at him, he's already looking up. He already knows where he has to throw this ball. Already, he's figured out what he's supposed to do. He also makes a great throw from far away. Robinson is able to easily make the catch since he was wide open, and they get a touchdown just like that. So, just a smart play by Mahomes. And also, one more thing I have to talk about is that it seems like nobody has converted on more like 3rd and 17, 3rd and 20s than Mahomes. Like on this one, it's going to be a 3rd down and 20. And so for the Raiders, they're playing zone coverage. They're playing deep, just saying, hey, if you get some yards, fine. We'll let you kick an easier field goal. We're just going to end the drive right here. We'll give up 3 points if you want the 3 points. And for the Chiefs, they're saying, I think we can do better than that. Let's take a chance right here. They're going to have a receiver run that route right there. So it could potentially get open. But again, for Mahomes, don't take any chances here. If nothing's open, take a check down, gain 5 yards, kick a field goal. That's totally fine. And as you see, there's a defensive player who's doing his best to keep that Kansas City wide receiver further away from the middle of the field, which will then push him towards the safety. So this is a double team right here. There is not going to be that much space for Mahomes to try to make a throw. So many guys would just take a check down, but Mahomes is saying, hey, I got time. There's some, plenty of time for me to make this throw. My offensive line is doing a good job. Let me just take an extra second, keep looking down, and then seeing if something opens up. So when Hardman then cuts back towards the middle of the field, he does a pretty good job of getting the inside leverage to a degree, so there is some separation. And Mahomes has made this throw. Mahomes is taking this chance. He's saying, you know what? I don't care if it's 50 yards down the field. I think I can make this throw. And he ends up throwing an absolute strike. There was not a big window whatsoever, but he still hit it, was able to get the ball to the end zone for a touchdown. That's what he is capable of. The drive is never over until they punted the ball back to you or kicked the field goal or scored a touchdown. Because even if it's 4th down and 20, if they decide to go for it, they can get it sometimes. If it's 3rd down and 20, they will try to get the conversion and they can get it sometimes. So you do have to just he's probably the most frustrating player to play against, I would imagine, because you can make those throws seemingly effortlessly. He is as good at making those deep throws as other guys are making 7-yard slants down the field. Like he has that much accuracy that far down the field. It's ridiculous. So yeah, that's what I think of this quarterback matchup for the Super Bowl. Pretty exciting that we now know who is going to be playing in the Super Bowl. Let me know, what do you think of what's going to happen this upcoming Super Bowl? Who's your pick to win? I'm going to be making a lot of breakdowns, so stay tuned for that. There will be plenty of breakdowns throughout this 2 week stretch before the Super Bowl. I'm going to preview basically everything. So be on the lookout for that. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.